I was just reminded as I pass a very prominent area of an experience I had on a well-studied piece of land several years ago when I was doing work with some of the people that were there. So just a few moments ago, to not be too cryptic rather, on this cryptid, I'm on a really interesting road that I drive a lot and to get to work. And for the first time in years, I just saw this cute little shadow in the tree that had the sunrise behind it, and it was an owl. So I backed up and watched it for a few moments, and it reminded me of this experience a couple years ago on this pretty popular piece of land that has a lot of science trying to discover a lot of things. Anyway, the story is this. So one of the things that I was very in my NDA, I was very clear that I would, be mindful of radiation. I was also mindful of of other things that are going on. I had to be very open to knowing that there are things that I may not understand, and also anything that I just had to be careful using my phone. So I didn't have my phone out much. And I was walking with a few people, and it was dusk. And that's why this experience just a few moments ago reminded me of it. But this was dusk, and at dusk, it has kind of the same lighting, right? The sun is not quite in the sky. You have this beautiful kind of orangey, sherbet colored cloud and setting in the horizon. And we walked around the corner, and I was several feet behind a couple of folks in front of me, and just kind of walking on my own as I do. I typically walk barefoot when I'm channeling and I feel led to certain places. And in this particular instance, I just was kind of in my own space as they were, up ahead doing whatever they were doing. And I felt this prompting, I guess that's the best word, to look up. And when I looked up, just as I looked up, there was this large boulder just to the side of me, and right in front of them, so it was next to them and in front of me, so it wasn't that far ahead, was a huge, so the boulder was about the size of, I'd say it was roughly 10 feet off the ground, 8 feet. It was taller than us. And on top of that had just jumped, like it jumped into the air and flew off, was this massive bird or something with wings. And I remember stopping to look at this, and I was like, holy shit, even just talking about it, and I can't show you, but talking about it gives me goosebumps, because I have never in my life seen anything like that. So I yelled out, I said, did you guys see that? Of course they saw it, right? And it was this huge, what I thought, I said, what was that? And it was massive. It had to have been at least as tall as us, if not taller. So you're talking about something that's at least 5'5" to 6 foot tall. And it took off. It struggled for a moment, but it was sitting there on that rock, and it just leapt up, and then it flew off behind the ridge. And I just thought, holy shit, that was the most unbelievable thing that I had begun to witness at this particular piece of space. But anyway, I wonder, often I've looked around at different locations around the area that I live, and have tried to research other individuals that have had similar encounters with these large birds that could only be described on a thunderbird parked on this particular piece of land. Well, I guess that wouldn't be the strange thing, but the strange thing would be, why would that lure, if it's lure, why would it be there? And are there other places in the area that have seen such a bird? And with that, I would say there are some Native American that are some other Native American legends other than the Pacific Northwest traditional, bird that they have called the thunderbird. And the sightings, though, are very, very few and far between. They definitely call a lot of things mystical and part of another time or another dimension, which I would believe. And given that that was really one of my first few experiences, being where I was at, and also having other people experience that same thing, it was so big. And so I can't imagine just how they felt, but I can't say that they didn't seem too rattled by it, to experiencing things like this. Not necessarily that thing that we had just seen, because they had heard that there were things like that in that particular area, but nobody had ever seen it. So anyway, thoughts are, and given that there are a lot of cultural and now scientific evidence that proves that a lot of the anomaly and high strangeness that occurs in and around northeastern Utah. What are your thoughts on these giant birds, and do you have a story to tell? That's what I wanted to know.